Welcome back to another Epidose of these crazy guys that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. Today, we're doing a short ribs topic on how to get back in the swing of things after vacations, slip ups, and relapses. All right. So, yeah, this comes up a lot. I mean, because life happens. I know I was just traveling, I was gone for like 8 days. And it can be hard traveling, sleeping on your cousin's couch, catching airplanes, sleeping in your sister's spare bedroom, sleeping in somebody else's upstairs room, and you never know exactly when you're going to eat or where you're going to get your food. So for me, traveling was a recent experience, but we often have people talk about slipping up. It's their kid's birthday and they eat some cake and ice cream. Maybe they have a couple beers while they're standing around the barbecue. Or some people just slip off back into carb land and sort of have a
Down the
relapse.
carb hole. You missed the opportunity.
They slip and fall down the carb hole.
Oh.
And so, anyways, today we're here to talk about that. And Justin, why don't you lead us off by talking a little bit about how people feel feelings wise?
How people feel feelings wise? Like in
Yeah,
what way?
when they slip up and they're not on their carnivore path.
Oh yeah, so they usually feel pretty bad. I coach a few people, and they usually, so especially in the beginning of carnivore, when they eat off diet, they usually feel some kind of physical pain. Could be headaches, could be joint pains, things of that nature. uh, could be low energy, not feeling as energetic as before while they were sticking to carnivore. They notice the brain fog comes back, or whatever ailment. Sometimes it's arthritis, sometimes it's migraines, sometimes it's digestive issue. But generally, they feel it flare up when they go off. And the other thing is emotionally, yes, they are affected. They oftentimes, maybe not so much guilt, but just little more, if they struggle with anxiety, depression, or anything like that, that certainly comes back. That they'll feel, it just kind of depends on where they are in the journey, and kind of how they are in that, how badly they're affected emotionally, and if they're able to just get back up, or they need a coaching session, or they need to go back to square one and come up with an eating plan again. There's many different ways, but generally people learn that way, that they prefer to be carnivore, and sometimes they bounce back from it more determined to be, to stick to the diet, and so the second or third time around, roughly, it's easier time for them because they know what to expect, they know how hard it's going to be, and we start to be able to identify triggers, whether it's social groups, certain treats, different family members, certain ride to work, whatever it may be for them, stress. If they're a stress eater and they're used to grabbing that chocolate bar or maybe some fruit, um,
Donuts.
they donuts, do nots. It just kind of depends on where they're at with it, and how badly they slip up as well. And I try my best to not pile on them, on their moment of weakness, or when they're
Right.
having a hard time. Just like, okay, hey, you ate that. That was an unexpected situation, or this happened, or that happened, and then let's plan. Let's move forward for the week coming up and the days coming up, and take them through back to the road to recovery.
Yeah, in a broad sort of way, the obstacle becomes the path, right? So people they eat something they shouldn't eat, in something, or maybe they eat something all day or even all weekend, and then they don't feel good physically, and then they're disappointed in themselves because they felt so much better when they were sticking to it. And like you said in the beginning, it's the tough part, because that when that happens, people tend to feel it more than if they've been doing this for a while. And I think part of that is, helping people in the beginning get used to eating meat every day, right? It's establishing that pattern. So you interrupt that pattern before it's really well set, it can feel pretty bad. We've heard people talk about that all the time. So I always remind people, look, don't be so disappointed in yourself. You're still a better self than you were before, and you really got to just compare yourself to yourself. You can't really compare yourself to everyone else, you know. And these slip ups happen. We've all done it. We'll all probably do it again one way or the other. We'll eat something that doesn't agree with us, something that we knew was fringe or just flat out a bad idea, and we do it anyways. But the recovery from that's usually pretty quick, right? People start feeling better very quickly when they get back to their routine of eating meat every day, all day. And then you kind of have that reinforcement because you know for a fact that when you eat the wrong thing, you're not going to feel good and you don't want to go back there. So there isn't like any sort of donut or baguette out there that tastes so good that you want to feel like that. So,
Right, definitely. It can certainly be a slap to the face when you don't eat, when you go off diet. Now, I think the way to kind of categorize this, because sometimes people like, I ate one cupcake and that's completely fallen down. I kind of see it as depending on, so in an average day, say you ate 2 or 3 meals a day, if one of those meals had one carbohydrate or one fruit on them, I would consider that more a slip. And we all do that, but I mean, it's not, again, the slipping and stuff like that is kind of more of a conscious, has to do with how conscious you are of your eating. So like you'll talk, if you listen to the channel long enough, you'll hear tons of times that me and Tom have eaten non-carnivore foods, whether it's alcohol, whether it's a fruit, whether it's
coffee.
a coffee, a banana cream pie. There was someone on here that talked about eating a slice of banana cream pie.
Yeah,
Um, you know, but I know when I do those things and when Tom do those things, we know what to expect. We know that, okay, if we feel really bad the next day, we might do like a 24-hour fast or something like that. Like we take full ownership and full responsibility of eating that food that's the non-carnivore food. And I feel like to me, that's the most important aspect. A slip up is to me getting caught up in a moment, whether it's due to emotional stress, social pressure, special occasion, whatever it be, and eating the food and forgetting that you're eating the food. I feel is where people kind of get lost, and then they might end up having more. It could start with being offered some almonds, you eat a few almonds, and ending with having a slice of lasagna. It could really be that drastic. Now, if the next day they just get right back on it, I consider that a slip, not a relapse. I consider a relapse as more have to do with addictive and binging behavior. If they go on a bender, 2, 3 days of cookies, cupcakes, carbs, fruit, sugars, etc., then you've fallen off in a true respect. But that doesn't mean that you can't get back. And the way to get back, I mean, it's really hard to say. The obvious part is go back to just eating meat, but for everybody, that's going to look a little bit different. For some people, they might have to keep a few carbs in the next week or two before they can go straight back to meat, just because their body, they've kicked themselves out of ketosis. They're kind of burned back into, they've restarted that carb engine and still don't have the fat burning engine developed well enough yet. So that's going to take some time to kick back in. Um, they might be able to just hop in the next day, like, okay, I'm having 2 steaks. That's all I'm having. But or they might, again, have to work their way back to full carnivore, whatever that looks like for them. Um, and coaching, so that's where coaching can certainly help. A lot of people find themselves needing a coach because they try to do it on their own. They're able to go 2, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, maybe a year, and then they slip up, and then they realize maybe I do have some food addiction issues. Maybe there is something else going on here. Maybe I do need to work on my food planning. Maybe I do need someone to keep me accountable. And that's where I say a coach can definitely come in and having a group of support could be very important for their growth on the carnivore journey. And it's a health journey, you know?
Yeah, and even if you're not to that point where you're ready to hire a coach, if you just get involved in community online, or if you're fortunate enough to know some other carnivores, they can kind of, help you talk your way through it, get it off your chest, give you some good ideas. So there's plenty of groups online. You can Facebook, Instagram, Minds, you can go to an online platform, MeetRx, something like that. A lot of places have like Zoom meetings or something like that. You can get in there and talk to people. So, or just ask somebody who's been there to talk to you about it. And I think the important thing to remember is that every time you come back from something like that, it gets easier to come back, so, and then they tend to get farther and farther apart. So the faster you deal with it, the faster you get to more solid ground where these things come up less, and you spend less time feeling sick and depressed and disappointed. So
Right. And so, you know, vacations, yeah, you kind of want to splurge. You know, I remember last year I went to Mount Shasta and I had fries, well, a few duck fries that were cooked in duck fat, just because I never had fries in duck fat before. And I wasn't going to make them myself because I'm carnivore. So I had a few of those, you know. And so things like that happen. Again, I don't really consider that a slip personally because I ordered, you know, a burger with two patties, cheese as my primary meal, you know. And I think that a big key part of it is, and I know this is hard for some people because of family members that they live with, but the easiest way is just to not have the food in your house. That's just not buy it. So I don't buy fries, you know. If I eat a fry, it's because I'm out with somebody or whatever. So I never investing it and making that at home. And I feel like to me that's a big step is keeping while you're at home, staying carnivore, obviously taking lunch to work and all that other stuff. But you know, coming up with a plan and plan before you make the slip up. If you are going to slip up, the more planning you do, the easier it's going to be to get up, which sounds funny,
right.
planning a slip up, but have a rehab plan, have a plan for if you go off, who you're going to call, what group you're going to contact, what food you're going to go buy. You know, what's your favorite carnivore cut of steak thus far? Or maybe you love
Yeah,
pork butt, maybe you love bacon, maybe you just love a decadent, you know, cheeseburger with bacon and cheese and
maybe you're into chicken
whatever.
cordon bleu.
Maybe you're into a bacon bomb, you know, bacon stuff, you know, whatever your decadent thing
Maybe
is
you
that
need
you love.
Swedish meatballs. Yeah, and
Right.
have that food waiting for you when you get through your, so you don't have to worry about, that you're gonna get right back to it. And I'd say kind of the flip side of what Justin said. Justin's a fancy bachelor that lives in a penthouse, so he controls whatever food comes in. I, on the other hand, I live with family, and I'm the only carnivore. I'm the only person who's even close to carnivore here. So people are always bringing home tacos, pizza, all the stuff that goes with that. So I make sure I always have my food on hand, and yeah, I take food with me to work and everything to eat, because I eat at work, eat my lunch at work, and I make sure if I'm gonna eat breakfast, I eat breakfast before I go, so there's no temptations while I'm out there driving around or whatever, to just go eat, French fries or something. So um,
Just
I
watch out for those bags of pretzels.
yeah, the pretzels will get you. So and I go right from work to the gym, and so because I got a big caloric demand, I need 3 to 5,000 calories in a day. I don't want to be. I'm gone for a long time during the day because of the commute, the office hours, the commute again, and then the gym, and then a little bit more of a commute to get home. I got to take my fuel with me so that I'm not out there going, man, I'm really hungry, and I don't have enough food with me. So planning ahead like that, makes all the difference in the world. So I post a lot of pictures of food prep on Instagram, so you can see me cooking steaks all the time or plowing through 4 or 5 pounds of bluefin tuna just because I can.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about planning, and that's going to look different for everybody. Favorite carnivore foods, definitely a must, and knowing where you're at in the journey, and if it doesn't make you feel good, don't eat it. There's an old joke of a lady that goes to a doctor, and she said, the doctor asks, well, what's wrong? And she says, oh, my arm hurts whenever I do this. You know what I mean? And the doctor just says, well, stop doing that. You know what I mean? If it's causing you pain, just kind of stop. And I get that's a more complicated issue, but but really that's what it's about. It's like, if you don't feel great, that's why we don't. I mean, it would be great to sit up here and be like, oh, we're so strong-willed that we're pure logic. And because all the science pans out to where the carnivore diet is the best, that's why we don't eat any of those other foods. But no, the realistic story is that we don't eat the foods because they don't make us feel good. They oftentimes cause some kind of pain or flare up of a condition that we had struggled with for many years. And so it's not purely like, it's legitimately painful to us to consume these foods in some way. And for some people, that's emotional pain. For some others, it's headaches, psoriasis, whatever is going on. Um, and I feel like for me, that's a bigger deterrent, is knowing how much pain I'm going to be in. And sometimes it doesn't stop me, you know, honestly. And I do have that much pain the next day, and it's a bummer. But you've got to get to a point where it's just no longer worth it, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, when we meet other carnivores or doing videos, we're always talking about it. It always comes up. Oh, how long have you been carnivore? So it's like 2 years, 1 year, year and a half. I get to say something. I'm like, I think it's like 3 years and 8 or 9 months or something like that. I've been carnivore, but before that, there was a long journey to get there. I didn't just wake up one morning and realize this is the greatest diet and I'm committed to it. And I just have all this willpower to be a carnivore and just eat meat all the time. It's not really how it happened. It was a long, long journey to get here. I tried a lot of other diets, and most of it was driven by the fact that I was really sick. I was debilitated with arthritis. I battled psoriasis. I had an anxiety disorder, a sleeping disorder. There was a lot of misery that went into that fueled that. So, if you're new to it, especially, or you aren't especially practiced at being on a new diet and changing how you do things, I mean, everything from, how you buy your food, how you plan what you're going to eat, what your activities are. I love going to the gym 6 days a week, but I wasn't always that way. You know, there was a lot that went into that. So, don't be too hard on yourself, but have a plan and know what you want out of it. That's the most important thing. What do you want out of it? And then figure out how to get that. And if you need help figuring that out, that's what the community is for. Whether it's coaching or talking to one other person or joining a forum, that's where you can work those things out.
Yeah, I think it was Nietzsche that said, with with a with a why, you can endure any how. Your reason for doing something, your goal, will make it to where you can endure anything to reach your goals. Either
Yeah,
that, or just slap yourself in the face every time you want to eat something you're not supposed to.
there's always that. Yeah, I think somebody said something to the effect that could endure the suffering as long as it has meaning, right?
Right.
So put some meaning behind the difficulty in making the changes, and then it's much easier to endure. So, all right. Well, I think we covered this one nicely, Justin.
I think so as well.
So we'll ask again. I know it gets old, and I should probably ask at the beginning, but subscription is really important. So if you could subscribe to the channel and help grow us or our subscription, that'd be fantastic. We really appreciate the support, and but subscriptions at the end of the day really are what drive the channel and make more things possible. So please subscribe and pass links on to people who will benefit or enjoy at least the entertaining aspects of the video. Leave us your comments. Maybe you have questions about other videos you'd like us to do. And until next time, eat some meat, feel better.
Better.
Whatever you do, don't
Don't
slide
fall
down
down the
the
carb hole.
hole.